And hello, folks. Welcome to John Crump Live. It's live, and I am not John Crump, just letting you people know. And yes, my phone is silenced. So, every once in a while, you get to do YouTube stuff, and you're surfing YouTube, and you're like, this guy's got good stuff, and like, not a whole lot of subs, and it's cool to bring him on. And so, I did drop his channel. I'll drop it again. Let's see. So give this guy some love. Where is he at? 298 subscribers. I think I can easily make the promise he'll hit 300 today. Please, guys, give the guy a sub. Nylog. No, that's not a Nylog over there. But let me bring in the gentleman. I'll remove his page. I'll add him to the stage. We have Not A Guntuber. How's it going, man?
Not too bad. Good to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Good. Yeah. I'm excited to have you on because you're doing all of the home DIY-ish that I love to do. We're kind of chatting backstage. He's got a Tormach behind him, so he's got like a home CNC, like Home Plus. I don't know. Would you call it a prosumer? What would you call that?
Yeah. So one of the things that I start, if you follow my current series, very customized AR, I actually kind of go through this. A lot of the early work in that series is done on what I would call a hobby CNC machine. And specifically what I'm referring to there is any of those CNC machines that are optimized for wood or plastic. A lot of them run on a laminate trimmer or just a router. Mine happens to be one that has a spindle, but it's still not. If you watch the videos on the bike, struggling very hard making the bipod on that machine. And when I do have success, it's very slow. That's what I would really call like the home hobbyist consumer CNC. These guys, the Tormachs, this is the middle size. It's the 770. They are perfectly capable of running high quality, even steel titanium. The only thing that I would really say makes me hesitate to call them a production machine is they do have a fairly reduced footprint.
So your volume is smaller? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so that table, the spindle does not even fully go to each end. It does the entire table. So you're really limited in the size of the footprint where you can cut stuff. And the reason that becomes a problem if you're trying to actually make money on these things is there's two things that slow you down from making cash on a metal mill. One of them is how many parts you can cut at a time. So you might go, oh, I'm only going to cut tiny little gun parts. Well, yeah, but you're going to cut each time.
Whereas your mic is clipping a little bit. I don't know if it's the upper limits on your audio. It's clipping.
Maybe I'll stay a little further away from is that any better?
Yeah, I think it's just when you hit a certain level. So let me pump the brakes on this a second. So Tormach, is that, I heard there's like a $20,000 Tormach. Is that like a step up from that?
So is the $20,000 Tormach.
Okay.
But I got one. It took me about a year to find it. I ended up finding it on Facebook Marketplace. I just sat patiently waiting, sending out lowball offers to folks. And finally someone bit on one of my lowball offers. So I actually got this machine for $4,000. Yeah.
Oh my god! Yes.
Now,
No.
it was but the one important thing is, despite looking beat to shit, the spindle ran true. There was very little run out, and the table moved. Like, I'm calling that a win. Like, that's it.
Okay, so Bending Ballistics is a guy I know. He's on IG. You can reach him on Instagram. He does like programming for CNC machines.
So one of the things that really helped me out here. Now, I did have some background in CNC work, but it was all wood before I got this machine. And that's why for the longest time you see me trying to do metal work on a woodworking CNC. So I had some CAD and CAM experience prior.
Gotcha.
But this has taught me that metal is a completely different beast. Can try and think about it like wood in your strategies for cutting and all that. But I even gave up on using the software packages that I use for wood for metal, because just your strategies and how you approach cutting things are so drastically different that it took a complete rethink. And so what I used to use was a software called RhinoCAD, and that's what I would design in. And then I would transfer over called Vectric or Aspire, and that's what I would program my CNC cuts in.
Okay.
There is a very special aspect to cutting metal that none of those programs do, and it's called adaptive clearing.
Okay.
The best way I can describe it is, if you plunge a bit through wood accidentally and it engages the whole bit, like, yeah, it's good, but it's probably not going to ruin your bit. If you were to do that with metal, that bit's toasted. And so what adaptive clearing paths do is they'll take the bit and they'll say, I'm only going to ever allow a certain percentage of the width to engage with the metal at any given time. And so it eats away at it, essentially, instead of just plowing through it. And so in order to get that strategy, I had to CAD CAM program that was more geared towards metal. And the guys at Fusion 360 are really nice. If you don't make any money, they let you use it for free. There's a couple limitations I found, but other than that, it's absolutely fantastic. And that's what I used for this.
So how many axis is that Tormach?
So this Tormach is 3-axis. And for those that aren't familiar with CNC, your axes are going to be your X, so your left and right, and then your Z, which is the spindle going up and down. And they can't all move at the same time. You can tell it to only move in one at a time, two at a time. But I do actually have what is called a 4th axis. It's this guy here. I have not played with it yet. I'm actually not even sure it works. It came with the CNC, so I wasn't saying no. But I haven't run it. Yeah.
So one more question about, like, when you buy a CNC machine, does it, if I went to the Tormach store and bought a Tormach, would I get any bits with it? Or it's like, hey, nice, thanks for your 20 grand. You can't do anything with it until you spend more money.
It's more the latter. So you can buy a number of different packages that they'll put together. Like, for example, if I wanted to spend $3.5 fancier enclosure than this one, I spent $800 and I put this together, and it keeps all my coolant inside as well. So
okay, so that's the next question. Are you cutting wet or dry?
Always wet. So far, at least. I haven't found a good reason to cut dry.
Gotcha.
But back to your question about the bits, you're actually looking at 2 things that are going to hold you back from getting, well, 3 things that are going to hold you back from making immediate progress. The bits, I'll just pull a couple out, some drastically different ones. And then the second thing is the actual holders. So bit holder, and you're going to have to buy a ton of both of them. Whereas if you're used to doing woodwork, you can kind of get away with utilizing a bit to do a bunch of different stuff. Metal is extremely unforgiving. You want to always use the bit you can for the job, for rigidity purposes. And so that's the second place you can really lose money on a machine like this, is I do not have what's called an automatic tool changer. Like, it won't take one tool out and put another one in.
Oh, okay, right.
You end up using a lot of different tools in order to, I need to stop leaning in. I'm going to give you that clipping noise again. But you end up using a lot of different to finish a job, because you're having to use the one that's perfectly optimized for the work you're doing. So, for example, so this is the bipod that I'm making in the series that I was talking about. I have not released the video where I'm successful yet, but you can see I have finally been successful. So this is the leg to that bipod.
Oh, that's cool looking. Hold on, let me put you full screen here. Let's see. And wrong way. And I did it wrong way again. My mad skills are.
There we go. So just to kind of send the idea home, I've got one bit that surfaces it, another bit that does the profile, another bit that roughs out all of my inlaid areas, another bit that finishes areas. And then I got to flip it, and I essentially run every single one of those bits a second time. So I timed myself. If I'm really paying attention and I'm going quick, I can do a bit change in about 30 seconds. But now you
like if you're Johnny on the spot.
Yeah. But if you are running one part at a time, and you are manually run time on this, especially because of the detailed inlays that took a very slow, small bit. This was over an hour of cut time with, I think, 8 or 9 tool changes and 2 setups. Like, horrendously unprofitable to make this for anyone but my damn self. Unless I figured out a better way to jig it up, hold multiple at the same time. I had an automatic tool changer. So going back to your question of, like, what am I needing to get to do stuff for fun and yourself? A couple bits, a couple holders, and time on your hands, and something to hold your material with, like a vise. But if you're trying to make money with this stuff, you're going to need all sorts of extra bang whistle additions that are going to allow you to essentially increase your productivity. So I want to be cutting 12 at a time, and I run all 12 with that one bit, and then I change it. All 12 with the second. Yeah. So
bending ballistics. Okay. Yeah, he's got bending ballistics is like really chomping at the bit here, because this is his day job, is doing programming for CNC. So he's saying a piece of advice for him to upgrade to a 7-axis machine and get a lathe if he's planning on doing barrels. It'll change his entire setup. Do you have enough length to do a barrel, or what's your?
I have a total of 14 and a half inches of travel. And I say travel because, that does not mean it's the amount that I can cut. Because remember, the bit has to go outside of the thing, come into it, and go outside on the other side as well. To take away from that travel as well. But he's being a bit of a teasing jerk, because a 7-axis machine is extremely expensive.
Okay.
I mean,
because I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured. Okay. So when you got, like, this isn't your day gig, you're just doing this as a hobby, as a DIY hobby.
Yeah, so I sit at a computer all day long, every day, all day.
All right, so I'm going to have you pump the brakes here. So as another dude that flies a desk, I find it's like part of the Protestant work ethic that I can't explain what I do to most people. And most computer guys, once you start talking about server virtualization, they don't know what you're talking about. And I find it like, as I'm reaching, if I show somebody, hey, I 3D printed this AUG receiver, and I've now taken a $300 Malaysian parts kit and a $150 barrel and some filament and nuts for about $500. I built one of them that you would pay $1,500 for on sale. So yeah, then that's kind of fun. I mean, is it the same thing for you? It's the Protestant work ethic and the ability to say, yes, I built that.
It definitely is. It absolutely drives my wife insane. Let me start there, because I don't have an off switch, and that's probably why I never build the same thing twice. It's like I've already learned that. What new challenging thing can I try and tackle? And that's why I do stupid things like buy a Tormach.
Gotcha. Now, do you have a man cave? Is this your half of the 2-car garage? What are we looking at here?
I took over the entire garage. Yeah. So all the cars are parked outside, rain or shine. I originally had designed it so that you could move the tools out of the way and get the, like, let's say a hailstorm comes through. But that really went out the window when this sat down.
Oh yeah.
Like that's a requirement for a pallet jack, which I don't own. I had to rent one to get it in here.
Yep. Yeah. So in case you don't know, everybody else watching the video right now knows I've crashed 2 airplanes, so that's where this joke is from.
Nice. Well, I've crashed my Tormach several times. I do have to make one admission. My phone just alerted me that I've got 20% left, and I'm an idiot.
Oh, shoot.
I did not bring my charger out into the garage.
Okay.
Would you mind stalling for 5 minutes?
Yeah, no worries.
Not even. While I run inside, I'll get that, and I'll be right back.
Yep. Yeah. So I'll drop his YouTube channel again, and hopefully, last I looked, I haven't refreshed. He was at 298 subs. I'm hoping I can refresh and see that he's up there. Where is he now? 301. So I guess I did my promise. I promised we would break 300 subs. And Rich knows stalling well. Thank you. So the reason I the reason I'm doing this, and yeah, let me see how bad I do as far as solo hosting, and if I need you, I'll tag you in. I'm looking at his channel here, and he's got a budget Cerakote video going on. He's got Rick dying, which and a Geisler. That's another thing. So I don't know if he got the jig from Dark, because I think Dark DLD Hardware is the only place you can get the Geisler jig. I'm pretty sure he CNC'd this lower. Now, on your website, I'm looking at a lower with some hex patterns in it, and it's got the spaceship on it. Is that stuff you've CNC'd into a lower?
I will actually grab one, and I'll show you.
Oh, cool.
So no one has seen this put together yet.
You can't do that! All right. You can't show a pew on a live stream, so I can't actually touch these things. So what you can do is you can show part of one, and hopefully it's still streaming. You can, like, if you split the upper from the lower, you could show the parts, but don't show the whole thing.
I should have probably asked that first. I'm not a live stream guy.
Yeah. Well, it's just, stupid YouTube tricks.
So to answer your question, yes. So with what I was referring to as the hobby CNC machine. So a woodworking CNC is more than perfectly capable of doing this type of work. Absolutely all day long. And even if you look here, you'll notice that that T section that's usually on a forged lower is gone. That was done on that CNC as well.
Yeah, YouTube gets very unhappy if you touch the pew on a live stream.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So I've even done videos where I'm like, I've got an AR in a with a vice block, mag, whatever mag vice block. I don't even touch it, and I'm
Yeah.
pointing at like, hey, I just mounted the optic, and this is how I mounted the optic, and this is how it's like,
So
and
this may be the most difficult part about what I'm doing, is because YouTube, their rules are incongruous. You cannot accurately
no,
figure
there's
out what the hell they want you to do.
it's like dealing with the AFT. Don't put your junk in crazy. You know, that's basically the rule.
I had one of my videos taken down.
Mm-hmm.
I appealed it. The appeal got rejected.
Oh yeah.
I was 100% sure that I had not broken any of their rules. I'm
Doesn't
familiar
matter.
as hell with the normal rules. The live one's a little new to me.
Wait a second. You're a tech guy and you think things should be logical?
Fair, very fair.
Hmm.
Well, the funniest thing was I found a loophole. You can YouTube, Team YouTube, on X, even after
Yes.
you've lost an appeal,
Yes.
and be like, what the hell is going on? Can you take a third look at this? And I actually won the appeal. They gave me my video back.
Wow.
So I thought, okay, I'm safe to make this kind of content. It was actually one of the videos of making the designs on the lower, and they called that manufacturing. And
yes.
I was like,
oh yeah.
Not manufacturing. I'm making it pretty.
Yeah.
This stage.
Right.
But I thought that was a green light. So I made another video showing a little bit more advanced. And they flagged it again. And I got it back again. But the problem here
but
is
through the Twitter appeal.
Yes.
Okay. And so you're getting a different set of monkeys. You know, like the old saying, if you have enough monkeys on typewriters, eventually you'll get Shakespeare. This is, I'm not sure how many fractions of a second a human actually looks at a video, but they might get a couple of keyframes and say denied. Whereas
I would actually be okay with that. Because if they're using an algorithm or a person watching for 2 seconds, it takes for them to know my video is bad, tell me the 2 or 3 seconds that gave you that opinion.
No.
Because then I can look at those 2 and 3 seconds and be like, I now understand what pisses you off.
Yes. Yeah.
But
good luck.
My videos are by nature fairly long form. And so they'll come to me and they'll be like, hey, your 45-minute video violates our policy. It's like, well, what section of my violates your policy?
Right.
It's extremely frustrating. Like, you put so much work into this content.
Oh, for sure.
To just be so flippant with how they treat it.
Oh, absolutely. And YouTube is a very fickle biatch. I took days producing a video, my Amazon, where it was drone delivery of ammo. You know, it got like 100 views. It's like I tortured my wife and my daughter into helping me with this, and you know they were like pushing back on me the whole time, and yeah, no, it was a train wreck. So yeah, and absolutely wasn't worth the time I put into it. And in fact, you know, just I make about $50 a month on this YouTube channel, and my other YouTube channel, which I do mainly shorts, I make about $12 a month.
Ooh,
so
big money.
Yeah, we're not. And I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is the ROI, the level of effort. Obviously, I'm doing this not for the money. I'm doing this because I'd probably sit here talking to people if you know there was. I'd do it for free because it's part of my mental therapy. And also, I get to meet cool people and shoot cool guns on a regular basis.
So I think that's a perfect spot for me to come in and kind of be like, so what's my thought process here? Why am I doing this? And where's the eventual goal?
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at all my videos in chronological order, we start. Let's put together a polymer lower or frame. Sorry, pistol. And I show that whole process, and that's where I started. And then now we're getting into, all right, well, can we now take the skills that we learned there and extrapolate to a 80% AR lower? And some of the
Mm-hmm.
stuff you've got to go watch on Odyssey because YouTube for film.
Gotcha.
But I'm starting to mix in there also. Can we mess with carbon fiber? Can we design items from scratch instead of building only something that someone else has designed? The next step, 1911. Next step, we're going to modify some guns to make them more suited to our needs. And then the ultimate goal here is steps. I'm hopefully eventually going to be able to myself and teach others how to make a 0% aluminum 2011 frame.
Oh, shoot.
So that's the goal. I have stock of aluminum in appropriate sizes already purchased.
Nice.
I can't go back now. But you can see that it's a progression of I'm showing you that I can gun building knowledge and use that through all my mistakes. I show you when I screw up. I can use that to build incrementally towards being completely self-sufficient, potentially in a world at some point that doesn't want me to have guns.
Right, right.
And the other reason why, what was I going to say? Why I'm showing all these, you'll see me a lot of times focus on how much I'm spending to do something, is because I want people to understand that this stuff is approachable. You don't have to be perfect. You can screw up. I mean, all my Cerakoting content is how can I Cerakote well for the cheapest possible buck.
Right.
My Tormach video, I talk about, hey, I had to wait a year, but I got a steal of a deal. Like, this stuff can want it to be. And to answer the guy in the comments, right now I'm just milling 6061 for everything.
Okay. So I have, I mean, I don't know if we talked the other day or 2 weeks ago on the phone, but I did some work in an automotive machine shop. So boring cylinder blocks, milling heads, cutting valve seats, those kinds of things. So I know a little bit. I would say I have a layman's understanding of machining. I know when a bit's, not running right, and I can pick up on a few things. I do have a Ghost Gunner, which I horse traded for and ended up owning one. And I mean, I still F that up. That's got to be the simplest thing in the world. And I still have stuff go sideways on me. I would say 2 out of 10 receivers I've messed up.
I mean,
so it's a bit of.
Let's be clear. There's people that do that as well on the hand jigs. So that's not just CNC that'll fuck your world up. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And when CNC works, it's the most beautiful thing in the world. I mean, literally, it's like these plugs I modeled for my swimming pool. I'm like, hey, this is the port that's leaking. Let me make a block off port. I modeled that in Tinkercad. Unfortunately, that's my skill level. And but believe it or not, I was literally on the phone with like Goonbeam and DLD After Dark. Did you get your Geisler jig from DLD Hardware?
I did not. So back you could still buy everything together as one
okay.
full shebang. Yeah. And then after I did the video, so I'm going to do a little plug again. Not everything I film is YouTube appropriate. There's some juice over on Odyssey that YouTube does not allow. Just FYI. But
okay.
Hinting at over there is about an hour and a half long, I think, if I remember correctly. And it was the thing that kind of made me like Mr. Geisler on Reddit, at least. Because I said, hey, if you want to build one of these correctly, because a lot of people were having a lot of problems with them, I'm going to walk you through everything it takes. And then that
so
actually
you've
led...
got a full build follow along. I'm just looking at the video right now.
Yeah, I'm a little camera shy on what I can and can't show and say now. So
yeah.
But yeah, so that actually got the attention of the Geisler guys, and they actually started sending that out, the link to that video as part of like
cool.
their customer service responses. To them, and I was like, hey.
Which I see you have 2,056 views. So good work.
Thank you, sir.
So Geisler, they just sent you a stupid amount of money. They paid for your Tormach. Tell us what happened.
I said, hey, I'm interested in working with y'all. And they said, great, we've got a version 2 of the frame coming out. We'll send you a couple of those and you can mess around with them. And so that's Geisler video comes into the picture, is because I had kind of the notoriety already for the how-to video. It allowed me to get at least some free frames, which in the grand scheme of everything I've spent on this endeavor is nothing, but it's better than nothing. A lot of people are having... Oh, sorry, I missed that comment. Let me click on the...
Yeah, so this is Dark from DLD Hardware. And he said a lot of people are having problems with the slide lock being out of spec.
Yeah, and so that's one of the things I address in the video. So I tackled the Geisler project as my first, at least videoed project, because it had such a poor reputation online. I said, okay, I'm good with my hand. Sure, I can figure this out. And if I can at least give that knowledge back to the community so we're not wasting a bunch of frames. The solution, the solution that I ended up coming up with is you could actually just take about, I forget the thickness, but it's like 20 thou to 40 thou thickness shim. And you're just putting it into that slot, gluing it in a very specific way. And that actually helps a ton. Movement. It's this almost tilt in the slide lock. And it starts chewing up the walls after a while and all that sort of stuff. So that is actually what they fixed in the Gen 2 of the frame. Now, the very weird thing about their quote-unquote fix, which they don't call it a fix, they're like, it's just another frame. I was like, well, it's a fix as far as I'm concerned. They actually didn't make the slot smaller like I did as my fix. They actually thickened some of the walls that hold it up and down, so that they flex less. And to their credit, it seems to have worked. It's a completely different method to fix it than I would have ever thought. But again, I'm not a firearm designer yet. I'm just kind of learning.
Cool.
When I clicked on the chat, I saw there were some other questions. Let's see if I...
Yeah, take a look in there.
Does it for his day job. Oh, what are you going to mill the 2011 frame on? So, stage 1 will be to mill it on this.
So, Dark, I think you missed the beginning of the show. It's funny. Patrick, Babyface P, and I were talking about basically renting time in Walter Keller's shop where he's got 4 Haas machines and taking over the place and running some stuff, which, big money. And Patrick's like, get a Tormach. I'm like, what's a Tormach? I have no clue. And literally, he's got a Tormach. Patrick's like, hey, the Tormach's 20 grand. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, is that the 20 grand Tormach? He's like, yes. But I got it on, what, Facebook Marketplace? Where'd you get it? Craigslist?
Facebook Marketplace.
For 4 grand.
Yeah. And that came with a 4th axis, a 6-inch vise, a 4-inch vise, dozens of bits. I think it has about 3 dozen tool holders. But this guy ran this thing hard from 2015 until the day I bought it. Like, he was actually running a full shop on this Tormach.
Oh, no way.
And he said, yeah. So that's why it's so beat to shit. Is he was actually using it to make money. And for 10 years almost, he ran it hard as hell. I think he said he replaced the spindle twice. So that shows you how hard he was running this thing, that he burnt spindles out. So it's got hours. But again, one of the things that I'm trying to show people is if you're resourceful and industrious, will to you.
And that's what I love about your channel. That's the first thing I picked up. Like, you did your own spray booth. You're doing everything like DIY on a budget. It's not like you're throwing stupid money at it.
So I have definitely thrown stupid money at other hobbies. I pick up hobbies like toilet paper. It's just one after the other. And so this one, I was like, you can't do. You need to be a little bit mindful of what you're spending. And so I keep my eye on it. I try and be smart about where I put my money. But that's also, it helps me learn, because when I crash my machine and it destroys a $35 bit the first time I've run it, you don't make that mistake a second time.
Yeah. I would, but other people would. So I think Dark is asking, let's see, where is he? He's asking about the Geisler, the V2.
Mm-hmm.
And so would the version 2 fit in a version 1 jig?
Yes. So this is just me talking. This is not something that they've told me. And I am no plastic expert. But when I look at those 2 versions next to each other, it almost seems like they have modified the original injection molding, like mold. And so it's exactly the same, except for the 2 little spots that they messed with and removed material. So, and you can actually kind of see, like, there's a line in one spot where you're like, I can see the change. It's not a smooth surface. And so I have every thought in my mind that they actually took their V1 frame mold, modified it, and are now just pushing out the exact same frames with that slightly modified mold. And that's probably, again, conjecture. That's probably why they added the material where I said they did. This way to get it to work, but not have to mold,
redesign everything. Yeah.
For injection. Yeah. And you don't want to start from scratch. And so test the waters with whether the thing sells better this way, and then maybe, in the future we do a new mold, because maybe we want to run 2 at a time or something. But I'm going to hazard a guess that's what happened.
Cool. So I'm watching all of the things that you're doing, and you're doing a broad spectrum of like DIY home gun manufacturing. Is injection molding in your future?
Okay. It's almost like you're reading my mind. The reason I personally would like to get to the point where I can do a 0% 2011 frame, to make my own micro 2011. I'm talking officer length, double double stack in quotes because I'm designing it around the shield arms like 1.5 stack magazine.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But I've got to think that there's a way to get a 2011 smaller than even what Staccato's done with, I think it's the C2.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to do that effectively, I not only have to learn, but I actually need to learn to make my own grip modules.
Mm-hmm.
And that starts to become a lot more problematic for me. Because I'll be honest, I'm not a huge 3D printed gun guy. When I build stuff, I like it to be functional and pretty, and the lines, they just drive me nuts. I can't get past it. It's my OCD. So I need to either figure out a way to mill a grip. The magazine well is a very deep pocket that has tight corners, and that's a big no-no, especially for someone starting out like myself. Or I need to figure out a way in order to do injection molding. Now, the problem I see there is you can 3D print injection molding of things. I could mill an injection molding mold. Most hobby-level injection molders tap cc's, but it's about 20 cc's below the volume necessary to do like a Glock frame. And so it's just like, it's right at that cusp. And I'm just thinking to myself, it's like the universe is playing a joke on me. Like it knows what I want to do, and it's putting this artificial boundary like right out of reach. So it's definitely something I've looked into. You can get good kit injection molders that do $2,000. But
have you looked at? Oh, I should point this way. Have you looked at this guy's channel?
No, I haven't.
All right, so you guys can laugh at me. I love this channel, the affectation of the guy's voice, and he does. I guess he works in like the.
When you say that, I think I have. He's got like a weird way of
Louisiana type.
Yeah, I think I actually have seen some stuff from him.
Cool channel, but he was doing like tabletop injection molding, and like here's one where he's doing I guess with lead and silicone, but he's done it where he had basically, yeah, here it is. So he had this clamshell pocket, and then I think he 3D printed the insert for the mold.
Yeah, is it like a little character that he makes?
Yeah, he's always making these little character guys.
Yeah, okay, so I have seen this guy. Yep. I remember I was driving around one day, and I had this thought in my head. And so even driving, I was just playing YouTube videos, not watching them, just listening to what people were saying about this. Just trying to figure out.
You got a self-driving car or what?
No, so not watching it. I'm a weirdo. I will listen to a lot of content without
I do the
actually
same.
watching it. And I'm also a sociopath. I usually listen to it in 1.5 speed or 2 speed, just so I can ingest more stuff.
More info quicker, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, my wife can't stand that. I'm listening to, like, I watch/listen to the Dan Bongino podcast at 2x. Ben Shapiro, I'm only doing 1.75x. So I got friends. All right, my blind buddy listens to stuff at 6x.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
that's playing on expert mode.
But I got to pimp my self-driving car. I have a Lexus RX 450 hybrid, and the Comma AI, just mounts under the rear view mirror, jacks into the CAN bus, spoofs the signals, and drives your car.
So I haven't followed this hugely, but have we gotten to the point where they're no longer recommending that you pay attention? Like I knew for a while they were like, it'll drive itself, but don't take your hands off the wheel and eyes off the road.
So no, what it does is it watches your eyes, and even if you have sunglasses on, it looks at the tilt of your head, and it if you nod off like that, it knows that. But if you're driving and you hold your phone straight like that, it thinks you're looking out the window.
Yeah. I have not gotten that far down the car or the AI route. But I get to work from home, so I don't drive a ton
Mm-hmm.
anyways. It's just those
Mm-hmm.
rare
Mm-hmm.
I do drive that Texas being Texas, nothing's close. Like nothing
So
is close.
we talked about this pre-chat. Holy cow! All right, you got to come back on because we burned most of an hour already, and we barely scratched the surface.
Wow,
So
that went
you're
quick.
in Brandon Herrera's district, right?
Correct.
You're his
Yep.
constituent.
I have voted for him once already, and I will be voting for him again May 20.
Nice, nice. That's exciting.
And that's just serendipitous. Like I wasn't living here going like I hope all the gun guys are in this area. It's just like who'd have
Okay,
thought?
so your voice sounds like a guy from his company's Big Mac Defense, and his
Okay.
name is Jonah. And what's funny is on another stream we had him on, and there's a guy that looks like he could be a cousin. You know, like they could be in the same family. So we've got a visual clone, and now we have an auditory clone.
Well, the funny thing about it is, I get comments on this left and right on Reddit, on YouTube, not on Odyssey yet, but it's either are you in witness protection / doing a voice modulator, or I get are you like cousins with Adam Driver, and I had to go look up who Adam Driver was,
Oh, I
but
don't know.
it's he's he's the bad guy in the new Star Warses.
Oh, coolly, cool.
But yeah, apparently my voice freaks people out.
Well, what was funny is I was at the gathering, the PSA event this year, and I
Okay.
literally just got online and I'm talking to Joe shooting gallery, and the people behind me, they're like, "Are you the guy that does a podcast with John Crump?" I'm like, "Yes, I am." Like, "Oh, I recognize the voice." I'm like, "Holy cow!" So that was kind of fun. That's interesting.
Yeah, distinctive noises and distinctive smells. Like there's something with the human mind that
Oh
goes
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm gonna latch onto that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like the smell of cocaine. Just the smell.
You just want to get those gasoline flavored whiffs, and then that's it. Walk away.
That's so. Like, I need to get all of my ATF stuff out. Yeah, I like the smell of cocaine. My auto sears are buried in the dog park on the northwest corner of the pavilion, about 6 feet on a 45 off, 2.5 feet down. And no, there are no auto sears buried on my property. Did I do that straight face good? Did I do that?
Perfect.
Okay, good.
Absolutely perfect. But
And
that's another
so,
good thing
but
about Texas. Lots of property. You can bury it
the
wherever you
canary in
like.
the coal mine is if I go to the dog park and it's dug up, I know.
Yeah, I gotta watch what I say with them. I've got multiple dogs and I like all of them, so
Well, so I have two small dogs. One is mostly deaf, mostly blind, and the other hardly moves. And then I have the RC Tannerite dogs that are AI controlled.
I was talking to someone the other day, and he was, God, I forget what relative of his it was, but they were out at this guy's ranch, and they took like a coffee can, like full industrial strength size Folgers style, filled it up with tannerite, dropped it in the middle of a field, and then waited for nighttime. And the guy's like, just wait. When I tell you, hit the flashlight, like real nice beam, and just watch the fireworks. And he goes, all right, now. Friend turns on the flashlight. There's probably a dozen hogs hanging around this tannerite can.
Oh, oh my gosh!
And he hits the can and just hogs. No more hogs.
So hog grenade.
Yeah.
Wow, I've been doing it wrong.
Yeah. I mean, when they basically made it open season on hogs in Texas a while ago.
Nice.
They base it all the rules about hunting at night went out the window, hunting from vehicles out the window, hunting with lights out the window, because they're just such a big problem here. And that have helicopter companies where you're like hanging out of a helicopter, like Vietnam style, just like rat-a-tat-tatting at hogs across farmers' fields. Like the hog hunting in the last couple of years here has just gone from normal hunting to just like, I don't even know what to describe it as.
Yeah, yeah. So hold on, I'm gonna drop something in. I hate, people are gonna hate on me. I have all the parts to do this project. I have not gone further. So this is basically 6 AR-15 barrels, and it's a 3D printed Gatling gun.
No.
Yes.
So just out of curiosity,
Yeah.
what does the ATF make of that? Like, what is that to them?
Well, it's hand cranked. It's semi-automatic. You put a motor on it, then it's a machine gun. Guess who's going to be putting a motor on it?
But the fact that you could extremely easily put a motor on it.
You mean like you have a half-inch drive and, you know...
Like, all that intent to build stuff is very concerning.
No,
the
guys
someone
are
in the
good
comments
here.
was asking, for the guy that was asking what coolant I'm using, it came with a partial 5-gallon jug of Synergy 735, which is the same stuff that the guys from Titans of CNC use. I'm in love with it so far. At the end of my like 2-hour Tormach for Noobs video, I actually have a whole mixing it, etc. So just fast forward to the end of that video, and it's all there for you.
Yeah. So I went to boy, I'm going back probably 10 years ago. I went to one local EAA, which is Experimental Aircraft Association meeting. I met a guy here in Palm Beach that's having an engine built for his airplane from my friend in New York, the automotive machine shop I worked at. And I met another guy, and he's like, yeah, you know, I'm both an airframe power plant mechanic and a CFII, and I fly this guy's Gulfstream, and he's got a helicopter, and I want to go hog hunting out of the helicopter. You want to come? And I'm like, and somehow I did not close that deal.
Oh, come on. No,
I guess I'll have to go back to the EAA meeting.
Well, I'm pretty lucky. If I get a hog every 6 months, they generally stay off my property, and I've got enough that I can shoot till the cows come home, and no one around cares. We all have big property. We all shoot. But yeah, they stay off my property if I get one every couple months.
So the cool thing, I live in Palm Beach County, Florida. In Florida, if you have greater than an acre and the rounds don't leave your property, you can shoot on your property. So literally, I was wrenching on this in my garage, taking 6 steps out of my garage and, you know, mag dumping into trash. And then my phone starts ringing because it's the dudes in the hood saying, what are you shooting? You're going to be out there a while? Can I come over?
That is what it is like around here. Now, the way Texas did it is they basically said on a state level, we've got a minimum amount for protected status to shoot shotgun and archery, and then there was a larger amount for rifle and handgun. But that's the state level. Any county is allowed to be more lenient than the state. Basically, the state level says more aggressive than this. But for example, when I was first moving out here to the boondocks, I looked at all the different counties, and some of the counties were as high as about 20 acres requirement, and some of them were about 3 acres on the low side. And then this one I'm not 100% sure on, but a buddy of mine told me a couple of the counties around here haven't even ratified the law. So anything goes technically.
Uh-huh. Nice.
I don't know if I would test that one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah. I just bought. Technically, I have not owned or fired my own Glock yet, but I got a 17 and a 21 on police trade-ins, and just before the show yesterday, I quick threw the tripod out, got a folding chair or whatever, threw my mags and ammo on it, and just mag dumped into trash. So yeah,
the
none. I guess I wasn't shooting long enough. My neighbors didn't call. I just did 4 mags.
Yeah, the sad part with me is the type of shooting that I like the most is seeing how far away I can make something small go ping. And so, like, one of the first things I did when I moved onto this property is I bought a chainsaw and I 300 yards.
Nice.
Hand cleared. One person, one chainsaw, 300 yards. Like that.
Nice.
I was a little fatter before that exercise.
That's cool. Yeah, it's got. I mean, that 100 yards is kind of tough in Florida. Like, right? Don't get me wrong. There are ranges, but there aren't many. 100-yard or longer ranges in Florida. They're few and far between.
Yeah.
Middle of the state is probably not unlike Texas, where there's a lot of cattle in the middle of the state here.
Mm-hmm.
So once you're 30 miles inland, it's like farms and cattle ranches.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I was nice enough to put an actual range and have things. There's some guys out here that you can hear the way they're shooting. It's just anything goes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, I hear people popping off every day. I live in the quote unquote redneck area of Palm Beach, and yeah,
nice.
people are on a regular basis popping off in the yard, and I just love it. Sounds like freedom.
Live in that environment. They'll always ask me, it's like, doesn't that make it unnerving to, like, let's say 10 o'clock at night even here?
I don't do that at night. It's like I don't do it early mornings. I typically will do like noon or so or later. But yeah, I don't want to
if anything, I like hearing the guns. I don't care really what. I'd rather live in a place where I hear gunshots, because then I know everyone around here is able to protect ourselves.
Oh yeah,
than to live in some area where if a gang came through, you're all toast. Like that sounds like a horrible place to live.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and so now I know Brandon Herrera's county borders with Texas in some areas. How close are you to the border?
Yeah, actually not close to the border.
Oh, okay.
I would have to drive a couple hours in order to hit border. But
all right.
Don't quote me on this, but Texas 23 is either the largest or second largest county in Texas. Not county,
oh wow.
in Texas. Yeah, so he goes all the way from where he is, which I think is like Bernie, which is just north of San Antonio, and he goes all the way out where Eagle Pass is at the very tip. Like, it is an absolutely massive district, simply because the vast majority of it is so unpopulated.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the Badlands, essentially, of Texas, where, and I guess the districts are all done by population, and so you got very non-dense areas. And he does,
for sure.
Don't quote me on this, but I don't think 23 includes. And so yeah, he's got like pretty much everything west and south of that.
Wow.
Or will after the 28th.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Hope so. Yeah, if he's in Congress, I am like going to get some popcorn and sit back.
Well, here's the smartest thing I heard someone tell me about the Brandon Herrera race is if you look at the series, Brandon Herrera was not that close to Tony Gonzalez. They made it so that Tony didn't get above 50%.
Right.
But there was like a 20, almost 30-point gap between them.
Oh, yes.
But here's what's very interesting about that and why Tony should be scared as hell of a runoff. Because everyone was going to that primary to primary Donald Trump, to vote for Donald Trump. No one, because they cared about all these other races, or very few were.
Ah.
So you've got people just going incumbent,
Yes.
Donald Trump. None of those people are coming out for a primary challenge, a runoff. They were there to do the Trump thing. They've done the Trump thing. They're on their way. So when we now have this May 28th vote, I predict you're going to see much larger numbers because only passionate people about that race are going to bother to come out.
Oh, hell yeah.
Tony loses every single one of those votes where they were just checking the incumbent box.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's going to your lips to God's ears, man. I hope that's how it comes down, because that would be amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just been absolutely enjoyably hilarious watching the Twitter war has come through this.
Yes. You're right. That it's amazing
what
that
losing looks like.
Right. Yes, precisely. It's amazing to me that Tony's going on CNN and trying to, trash, like, not just Brandon, but a large portion of the Republican Party.
Oh, yeah. Meanwhile, he's the way warrantless spying on civilians is fine. More gun control as a Texas congressman is fine.
It doesn't. None of that.
But the problem is, a lot of people don't pay attention to these races. So
correct,
people like that get to stay in. So it's great that we had someone with enough notoriety to at least give them a challenge, and hopefully that leads to a win.
Yes. So we have gotten you to 305 subscribers. I dropped your link in the chat again. I'm telling everybody, hey, if you're out there watching, definitely subscribe to this guy. He's got good DIY content. I'm enjoying it. That's why I reached out to him. I'm like, dude, we got to get you on the show. And it's really good content, so definitely take a look. We just smidge over an hour. I'm pimping your site. I'm guessing you're going to want to pimp your site to close us out.
Yeah, I said this earlier, but for folks that are joining a little late, the whole concept behind this content is start easy, incrementally get harder, show that it is both skill set and financially accessible to anyone that wants to make this a priority in their life. And the eventual goal is to hopefully one day how to do a 0% so that we are truly independently able to arm ourselves and keep our rights. The second plug is I will say I put as much as I can on YouTube. YouTube is very strict. So every now and then there is content that I know will get flagged on YouTube. And so that is only available on my Odyssey. It is also 100% cost ever.
Nice. All right, man. Hey, thank you so much for coming on. I greatly appreciate it. We'll have to have you on again. And that's about it. Thank you so much. I got to push the end screen button.